Death, life's inevitable final curtain. It's perceived as the destination of a journey, a destination that is inevitable. Against the backdrop of modernity, Singapore's multiracial society still holds on to some age-old rituals. Rituals like death. In a society with a Chinese majority, it's not uncommon to see Taoist rites performed at a funeral.
In Taoist perspective, when we talk about death, we actually go back to the origin, which is the Tao, or we go back to the earth. That's why we have a burial or crematory. So we actually go back to where we belong.
While funerals have now become more somber and rituals simpler, it was just a few years ago that Singapore had professional mourners for hire.
I think it's the cultural changes and all these aspects. And then these days also a lot of professional mourners, they also aged. Some of them already passed away. So the practice have died down almost recently. However, we see a trend whereby they actually employ or use some professionals. They're not called mourners, but they are more on those singing those girl type of people to sing some of the nice songs where the deceased like to hear.
An Xiao Fei started singing professionally at funerals 10 years ago.
唱歌方面，其实我是从20年前就已经开始。那个时候呢，唱歌其实本身就是我的一个嗜好。那个时候我就参加了非常多的歌唱比赛，就这样被发掘了，然后才开始了我的歌唱生涯。那在10年前的时候，一个机缘巧合的情况下，遇到一位朋友，他也是在这个丧礼服务业的，他就问我你要不要开始这样的一个工作。
Funeral singers generally have a fixed repertoire of songs, but also take requests.
在歌曲方面呢，其实大部分已经有一个概括，大概会是一些比较悲情的歌曲。那有时候他们会要求点唱一些可能是往生者爱听的歌曲，那我们就尽量的满足他们的要求。其实这一份行业呢，它是比较特别的行业，因为你服务的对象毕竟不是一般的人，他们都是一些往生者，所以我觉得非常有意义的是，在他们离开之前，我能够把他们喜欢的歌曲带给他们，让他们能够一路好走，这样，或者是把他们家里的人想要传达的一些话语，通过歌曲转达给他们。
There are fewer than 5 professional funeral singers in Singapore, and when Xiao Fei retires, there will be one less. Her teenage daughter is reluctant to follow in her footsteps, a situation that is shared with Singapore's Indian community. Amongst Tamil Indians, the singing of lyrical eulogies at funerals is a time-honored tradition. Once a popular ritual, it is hardly performed in Singapore today. But 27-year-old Sukiran still performs Thevaram.
In Hinduism, we believe, once the person dies, the soul will come back to the house where they stay, and the soul will actually witness the body. It's not to console the people around or to tell the glory of the dead person, but it's to tell the glory of Shiva to the soul, and also to make the soul understand what its true nature is, and its true path is, to set it on a path of liberation.
Sukiran has cerebral palsy, but it doesn't get in the way of the service he provides grieving families.
I can't stand because of my operation for very long hours. So what normally happens is when I get to the death house, I'll sit beside the deceased person, and they'll get me a chair and ask for a chair, and I just start singing from there.
It was never Sukiran's intention to become a Thevaram singer. He was asked to sing at the funeral of a friend's brother. It was the start of an unexpected profession for this 27-year-old.
I was learning Devaram out of passion, to sing my own personal singing for God and that kind of thing. I wanted to do it better, and I had a passion for Tamil and music, and both came together in Devaram, so I did it. But then I thought, okay, they asked for me and I felt moved and I did it for my friend's brother. And that was the first time, but I didn't really charge for that. Then as I was studying, I wanted to make some money on the side and all that. And I was thinking of options and all. And then suddenly I used to once a while, sing for close friends, funerals and all. And then I was looked at by Hindu Casket, and they asked me, why not you sing for us full time, and then we will pay you per funeral.
After a year as a full-time Thevaram singer with the casket company, Sukiran ventured out on his own.
When I started doing it, it caught on very well because people finally felt that instead of just the physical things that they can actually do for their dead loved ones, but it's all physical. But what I do is for the soul, so they have a sense of solace and peace that that the dead would find their way home and find peace through my service. So what happened was more and more people started to ask for me.
Sukiran may provide a service that helps the grief-stricken, but his family was initially displeased about his chosen profession.
Actually, we are not very keen about what Sukiran is doing, but then Sukiran was so keen we could not say much. When time goes by, when I hear from others, like my friends and relatives, whenever they hear his singing, there's always a feedback. When they see me, they'll say, "You're so gifted with a son like Sukiran." It's such a young age and he's singing Devaram for funerals is something amazing. So when I hear all these things, end of the day, that's how we feel about Sukiran. We do have a gifted son.
Sukiran's gift, his soulful delivery of Thevaram, has become more than just a means to earn a living.
I believe for Sukiran, it takes a lot of moral courage to do what he's doing, because when he steps into a funeral home and he sings, he's bringing relief and comfort to those who just lost a loved one. But he's doing it knowing that he will be stigmatized. And I think to a huge degree, it takes a lot of moral courage. And the industry itself, it may not pay him fantastically. So I think he's doing it with a genuine need of contributing back to society.
Even as Sukiran pursues his passion for an ancient art form, young Jenny Tay chose to give up a lucrative career to work with her father in the business of death. Although Sukiran has found a calling singing traditional Thevaram at funerals, he's realistic about the financial practicalities of making a decent living doing so.
I never considered this a career. It was always supposed to be something part-time. But I think when you do something with dedication, right, and it has become sort of a career, something like a career, but definitely this is not what I want to do for a living, because, this is Singapore, and financial-wise, this job is not very well stabilized as on a financial basis.
Sukiran owns an events company that organizes birthday and wedding parties. But even when he's busy with potentially more profitable business activities, he puts everything on hold if he's asked to sing at a funeral.
More than a financial issue, right? To me, it's like giving a soul a last chance, a hope, to maybe have a better life. I always pray that if he cannot be enlightened, at least let this soul have a better body, a better life, where he can have some realization about you in the next life. So giving that leg of hope to a soul, I think that is the most important thing to me.
When Roland Tay was working as a tea boy, helping his father serve refreshments to the bereaved at funeral parlors, he saw a potential business opportunity in funeral services.
Okay, thank you.
Roland takes a very personal approach to his business and deals with the grief-stricken with great sensitivity.
Everybody also got personal problem in a bad mood or what. But when it comes to funeral and talking to the bereaved family, I will leave off my personal thing out of there and come personally to just be part of the family and help them all the way out to what I can.
While Roland supports his family with this profession, it seemed unlikely that his young daughter Jenny would follow in his footsteps.
Actually, I've always wanted to be in the business ever since I was 18. I actually spoke to my father that I want to be involved in learning the trade and as well as studying the course of embalming. But he was pretty hesitant about it. He was thinking that I should actually complete my degree education as well as to gain some working experience in the outside world before thinking about being in this trade. So yeah, that was then. But about 2 years back, my father wasn't feeling very well. So I thought that it would be a good chance for me to come in and learn the ropes from him as well as to help him out.
Roland became Jenny's mentor. Today, they run the business together. And Jenny has become one of only a handful of female Singapore funeral directors in a male-dominated business.
I got a bit of a culture shock when I came into this industry because practically everyone in this industry are men. So I believe that for me to be able to be in this industry, I have to be able to get involved in all the groundworks. I have to work together with the men to be able to do things together, follow all the practices, and this allows them to respect me in order for me to be in this trade. Personally, a female is actually more in touch with our emotions. So in terms of attending to families, how they feel at a point in time, being able to console them, I think that on that part, as a female, I'm able to do very well.
In Asia, those in the mourning business often come from lower castes and are stigmatized because of the kind of work they do. But in Singapore and other developed cities, such notions have changed.
Before the olden days, when they run this business, most of people will not come near you because they know that you are a tokong, undertaker, you see. But nowadays they call it a funeral director, and we are more on the class that we will do a job for their beloved family, and most of them, they respect us, and they also, our friend will come near us to see us, everything, to know about their loved one. Next time, what happened, is it?
Back then, there's not much publicity about this business, though we are essential service. But now I believe that because times have changed, people get more open-minded. People are more willing to find out more about what we do because it's interesting. I mean, it's part and parcel of life. They have to find out what we do in order to understand the kind of things they have to go through in future.
While discussions about death and dying are no longer taboo, this was not always the case. Buried deep in Singapore's history is a street where the sick would come to die. Sago Lane is a short street in Singapore's Chinatown, where the famous Buddha Tooth relic temple stands. But this popular tourist spot has a dark past, for it was once called Death Street, after the so-called death houses that operated here. This was where the dying, many destitute, would be left to live out their days. Death houses were banned in the 60s, but tourists and history buffs can still relive those days of Death Street.
How many people do you think would have lived inside? 40? 50? Do you know that there were statistics that we actually read of as many as over 100 people living inside one of these? Prepaid for a funeral that we set for them on the ground floor, right? At one time over there, on both sides of the street, there will be many houses, shop houses there, where on the upper floors would be what we call death houses. And essentially the death houses were places where residents over here might just check in for their last stage of their terminal illness to die.
Euphemistically known as old folks' homes, these death houses were in fact part crude hospice, part funeral parlour.
When you think of a hospice, you think of palliative care, you think of medical care, which was lacking in a death house because people were not thinking of, living out their last days in comfort, but rather it was dying in dignity on the bed, something that was denied to them in Chinatown here, where many of them would have lived in overcrowded conditions, sharing one shop house unit probably with 100 other people. So it was communal space, no more personal space.
Death Street always evokes curiosity and interest among tourists. Helena patiently explains the questions that visitors sometimes raise.
In Cantonese, they call this place Se Yan Gai. Literally translated, dead man's street, because that's what it was.
As the infirm and sick lay on the top floor waiting for their inevitable fate, the sounds of mourners from the funeral parlour at the lower level was a constant reminder that death was at their doorstep.
If the person, the patient, terminally ill patient, dying upstairs, and to be listening to all these noises, knowing that it was going to be their turn tomorrow or the day after, is that dignity? I don't think so. And I think the government decided, enough's enough, we got to stop that.
The ban on death houses sounded a death knell for related businesses such as coffin makers and funeral paraphernalia providers as well. Today, only one such shop exists in the area, on Banda Street. Tiobi Kim's shop was originally on Death Street, but moved here 40 years ago to make way for urban renewal.
我们以前是在牛车水沙儿街，因为政府要重建那个巴萨嘛，我们就分配来这边。我们的顾客都是老一辈子，有的搬去很远，有的往生了都没有来了，顾客越来越少。
The items in his shop reflect the rich traditions of old, but demand for such things is fading. Funeral rituals are increasingly less rooted in the folk traditions of old. Modern perspectives, tastes, business practices, and even technology have changed the nature of the funeral services business.
Nowadays, like Jenny, who come out from the university and come in to join me, and I feel and I understand that Jenny will make it through a more professional business and a proper way of running a funeral by herself.
Roland runs a business for profit, but he also believes in helping the needy by performing their funeral rites for free.
When I go to do the work in the police post, some no family, I will go and do and register, do the informat. And after I sign everything, the IC will be given back to me. So I keep this IC for the remembrance or do some prayer. Every year we'll do something for them. No matter any religion, any country, as long as there is life, I will do for them.
Jenny also believes it's her duty to help those less fortunate find dignity in death.
Today we help to scatter the ashes of 18 people, 18 destitutes, and these people are people without next of kin. They are people without families. So I'm very glad that I can do my little part to be like their family, to send them off in the most dignified manner. I mean, through this, I feel that I have done my part for the people.
In a fast-changing society like Singapore, many age-old traditions evolve to keep up with the times. where once they were many, today funeral mourners are increasingly an oddity. Only one thing hasn't changed. As long as there is death, there'll be tears.